Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alright, I lied. I thought that was my last video, but for some reason, I think I'm getting a lot of inspirations from the greenhouse. I should have built this greenhouse a long time ago. Speaking about children, one of the things that, when I talk to parents, where I see parents raising their kids with the best of intentions. Sometimes they inflict the worst damage. And please hear me out. This might be a little bit controversial for some parents, and they might not even like it. You don't have to like it, but hopefully you'll get to hear it. So I'm going to use actually the example of my greenhouse, and I know a lot of parents are very smart, and I don't even have to get to the end of my video for them to understand the point that I'm trying to make. So I planted the seeds of my green peppers and tomatoes, and now actually have beans, and also actually in the past I planted my zucchini and cucumber. So I bought the seeds from the same place, or whenever I bought them from the same places, and I planted them into the same soil. Pretty much they all went through the same process up until this point, where some of them I have to what I mean by this point, not today, but the point of growth for them, I had to tie them up to the ceiling of the greenhouse. As you see, some strings behind me, some of them, not all. So when I planted my green pepper seed, I didn't know how the plants are going to look like. And even actually, if you look at my green pepper, or my pepper plants are right there, those are my pepper plants. They don't look exactly the same, but I know that they are pepper plants, and they look a lot different than my tomato plants. These are my tomato plants. And of course, those are my beans. I just planted those not even 2 weeks ago. I planted more zucchini, and behind me there I got more cucumber, and I have eggplants kind of like back there. Now, as I planted these, it was very important for me to actually read on their germination, the harvest and things like that, so I can fully understand them. And I planted green peppers with no other expectation other than getting green peppers. Same thing for my tomatoes, same thing for all the other plants. I did not plant a single one thinking that's going to give me a different fruit or a different vegetable. It would be crazy, right? In my wildest dreams, I want that tomato plant to actually give me tomatoes and pretty much all the other vegetables. It would be nice, right? But it would be stupid if I actually verbalize that with a real expectation. People think, well, I'm crazy. Now, the other thing which is very interesting, I know that the tomato plants, one of the things that I figure that I have to do, and it's not the only way, by the way, to do it, is actually vertical planting. Meaning, if I actually tie them to the string and actually allow them to actually go up, first of all, I'll save more space, which is much needed, and also, they will do well. They will do a lot better. Now, with the pepper plants, you're not doing that. That's not going to happen. I'm doing that to my cucumber plants. I'm not going to do that to my eggplants. I have lettuce, which it will be crazy for me to actually tie that up to something for them to go up on. The lettuce don't, right? Now, what I'm trying to say through that is, when we raise our kids, we have to figure out, are we raising them to achieve their potential, or are we raising them to fit our expectations? I can't plant, quote unquote, a pepper plant, and because I planted it and to the same soil and all of that, I expect it to give me tomatoes because, hey, the plant before it gave me tomatoes, right? It doesn't work that way, right? So our kids, first of all, not because we're doctors, engineers, or whatever the case might be, that means we want our kids to be that or not at all. And this is the biggest problem that I have with some parents. They have already decided what they want their kids to be. Now, don't get me wrong. I mentioned this, achieve their potential. If I was to let the green pepper just kind of like be and not take care of it, it's not going to give me the fruits. So I'm not saying abandon your kids and let them do whatever they want. No, I'm saying look at their potential and try to work with them to achieve the best. Guide them, just like I do for the tomato plants, right? I do that string to help them go up. There's something called pruning. A lot of details, meaning I work with them. I know that they have potential. I know that they would actually achieve their potential, but I work with them in achieving the potential. I don't try to kind of like magically, you know, convince them that, hey, you're a tomato plant, but I want you to give me green pepper. It's not going to happen. Same thing for your kid. If math is not their thing, if they're really not doing well in math, you tried everything, they tried everything, but hey, they're doing really well in, let's say, English and all that, they could become lawyers. They could become, they could be doing business. They could be doing other things. Same thing. If they're not doing really well in English, but they're really good in math and they're really good in science, hey, they might be like more into that field. Allow them to explore that. Not because you're a doctor, then your son has to be a doctor, or because their brother became a doctor or lawyer, then they have to be the same. No, they don't. Again, work with them. You have to be, you have to guide them, like you know like we do again with the plants. The other thing though, this is not, and it's really interesting because every single person who gets into gardening and farming, whether it's small scale or large scale, what they do is actually they try to learn more and more about techniques and things that would actually work with the plant. Now, some of the things that actually we learn is if you're doing, if you're trying to fertilize your plants, right? And I do that organically myself. But if you overdo it, or you underdo it, or you give them the wrong, try to give them the wrong nutrients, as we know, different plants would need different, fertilizers. They don't all use the same if you want them to achieve their best potential, right? One of the big mistakes is actually over fertilizing. This is another issue that I actually see with some parents. They overwork their kids. No break, no whatsoever. They overwork them. They never sit down and talk to them and try to get a sense, try to get a feel of how they're doing. Can we continue in this route? Should we take a break? We actually do that with the plants. We observe, are the leaves turning yellow? Are they kind of like, looking like weaker? Are they drying out? Am I seeing any flowers? Is the plant growing, or is it stagnant? All these things we actually do it with plants, and we even do it with animals. But when it comes with our kids, like we almost, some parents, we almost have no conversation with them, and we just say, oh, I know what's best for my kids. I'm not doubting that you want the best, but when you say you know what's best, these are two different things. You want the best for them? Absolutely, I agree. Do you know what's best for them? I will have to disagree in some situations, especially if you're overdoing it. So try to keep that conversation open. Try to do your periodical assessment of their progress, how they're doing, how they're feeling. Again, I am against just letting the kids get away with everything. and kind of like, keeping them on like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't, okay, fine. No, your assessment is you get to know your kid, work with them, and make them understand that they have things to do, they have to have a purpose and things like that, and work with them. You don't want to be on the other extreme, right? Because again, sometimes when it does get a little bit frustrating, just like it does get for us when we're planting and farming and all that. You feel like you're overdoing it and you say, you know what, then I'm going to stop. You can't go from one extreme to another. There has to be a balance, and you have to do that. You have to try to achieve that balance. It's your job. You have these kids. You got to make sure that you help them achieve their potential, so they can harvest the fruit of your upbringing, and you get to see that as well. So I hope this kind of like gives us a better approach to raising our kids, and most importantly helping them and working with them to achieve their potential, not necessarily what we want for them, but what would actually work for them and what is right for them. Assalamu alaikum.